Yes, I'm going to present this study that I made together with some colleagues from the Politècnica de Valencia and the Delft University of Technology. This work was supported by the Spanish government, and it's part of a big project in which we are not only working with Colombia, also with Spain. So just a brief outline of the presentation. I'm going to introduce the study, present the main objective, the methodology, the results, and some conclusions. So this work is about renewable energy technologies and the crucial role that they play in Colombia's energy transition. Currently, Colombia is a country that depends mainly on hydroelectric generation. And this type of technology of energy, it's very vulnerable to the weather conditions. So when it's too dry, for example, there are problems with the energy. So working on renewable energy in Colombia is important because of that. Also because, as you can see in the map, sorry because it's in Spanish, but the black areas are known as non-interconnected zones. And as you see in this map, these areas are more than half of the national territory of the country. And it means that they are or don't have access to the energy, or they don't have energy the service 24 hours a day. So there is a problem with access that can also be solved, at least partially, with renewable energy technology. So the current government and some previous government have been working around this transition energy idea. So this study wants to evaluate some drivers that facilitate this transition, and at the same time, some barriers that made this transition more difficult. Even in Colombia, as we can see here in the Energy Transition Index, have been working a lot on that, and the general ranking is improved. The position of the country has improved a lot. Still, there are a lot of things to do about it. So the main objective of this study is to identify and analyze drivers and barriers that influence in the adoption of renewable energy technologies in Colombia. We focus on two decentralized technologies, batteries and solar power and solar panels systems. And the idea is provide some insights that help and support evidence-based policy making in this sense. So we use, basically, we follow the ANP methodology. So we first validate some drivers and barriers with Colombian experts. As I mentioned before, this project is part of a big project, and this similar case was developed for Spain. So since we already have had some list of barriers and drivers, we first work with Colombian experts to try to adjust that list to the Colombian context. Then we construct the ANP models for the barriers and for the drivers, two different models, and also for batteries and for solar panels. So in the end, we have 4 different models, very similar, but 4 different models. Then we solve the model using the input from experts, from industry, from academy, and from government. And at the end, we introduce the use of the Spearman Rank Correlation Index to try to analyze the compatibility among experts' perspective. So first, the list of the drivers and barriers. Basically, we found 4 different kinds of drivers and barriers. Economic drivers, for example, the fiscal and economic incentive, environmental charges, institutional drivers, social drivers, and technical drivers. And barriers, we also, the same group of, the same names: economic barriers, institutional barriers, social barriers, and technical barriers. As I said, this list, the main idea of the list came from another previous, from a previous work made from some member of the team. So with those experts in, we made we built the matrices, and with talking about experts, we work with 10 experts from industry, from government, and from academia. Especially, we focus on industry because they are the one who are who play a main role in the installation of new technologies in residential areas, but also at industrial level. So the main results in terms of clusters for both technologies, economic factors serve as primary drivers and also as the main barriers in the Colombian context, followed by the institutional drivers and barriers and the technical ones. However, the social barriers are the less important, we say. Oh, yeah, with the lower weight. Not how much time, yes. So, talking about specific drivers for both technology, we see that the institutional barrier, in these institutional barriers, which is market participation mechanisms, are the most valued drivers, followed by the economics drivers, fiscal incentive, and stabilization of energy prices. And even though social and technical drivers are not the most important one, they are rated lower, but still highlight to the DS3 adopter motivation and the failures of the systems. In terms of key barriers, the same, the results are very similar for both technologies. Again, the economic barriers are the most significant ones, primarily the lack of funding and the high invest required for the technology. However, we see here that there are other barriers that are also important in this in terms of barriers. Like, for example, the lack of standardizations. We notice that there are not national law or non-national guides for the installation of panels, solar panels, for example. So each installer use their own guides. So some of them, for example, have used or use nowadays, they use the guides proposed by the European Union as guides for the installation of solar panels. Finally, we analyze the results, the expert compatibility. We made the expert compatibility analysis to try to analyze the compatibility among experts. When we talk about policies, for example, like in this case, it's crucial to understand the degree of consensus or variability in their perspectives. So this can impact directly the effectiveness of sectoral policies and strategies. So a high level of compatibility suggests that there is a shared vision among experts, while a low level of compatibility shows that is necessarily work a little bit more on the vision of the expert, of the perception of the expert. So here in the table, in the both table, we see that we cannot see a clear tendency, but for example, there are some experts, like in academia, for example, or in government, that they are not very aligned with the rest of the experts. So probably we can suggest that some experts can be work, or the dialogue with those experts and collaboration with those experts should be work on that. They work on that. They should work on that. So as a conclusion, we can say that economic and institutional factors are key enabler for batteries and also for solar panels. The lack of financing is the primary challenge for both technologies. Fiscal incentives, market mechanisms are the key drive for the adoption of these technologies, while lack of financing and the highest capex are the key barriers in the implementation of these technologies. And there are also some important challenges regarding the technical uncertainties of the technology, especially in terms of batteries, and the adopter motivation is also important. So we also conclude that the aligning expert view is important because especially in these cases, when we are talking about policy and when we want to work as a cohesive group, it's important to talk about the alignment and to consider the alignment of the expert view. And since this work only focused on batteries and solar panels, but we noted that the results are very similar for both technology, we can say that the findings might apply also to other technologies, renewable energy technologies in Colombia. Of course, these results are also Colombian-specific findings, might not be generalized to other contexts, but can be comparable to other contexts, especially in Latin American context when we have very similar conditions. So thank you so much. This is all.
Thank you, Hannia, for that lovely presentation. You did it in about 12 minutes. That's great. So it's time for questions. Do we have questions? I saw some hands are quite interesting. We have Anais, then after that we get Garcia.
Hello, Hannia.
I just
thank you
clapped my hand. I didn't ask any, but Enrique has a question. Or comments.
Okay. Hello, Hannia. Thank you for your presentation. In your presentation, you mentioned the Colombia's energy dependency mainly depend on the hydroelectric dams and hydro energy. And in your findings, like your main goal is to find out the barriers and economic factors of different renewable technologies like solar and PV, different batteries that have the potential to produce electricity generation only, right? Because these two technologies, they are not able to, these technologies won't be able to produce like the transportation fuel, liquid fuel, or the other fuel that industry needs in gaseous form or in steam form. So I just want to ask, like you use the analytical hierarchy process to find out the different economic factors of these two technologies of producing the best available electricity generation only, because the Colombia, I'm assuming, and I know like there are so many industries and there must be a huge transportation sector in Colombia, which they have been using gasoline and other liquid fuel. And these two technologies are not able to produce any liquid fuel or any gaseous or steam fuel. They are just, these technologies can efficiently produce electricity generation only. So your research is specified to find out the technology using the AHP process for the best efficient generation of electricity only. I just want to know this.
Okay, I'm not sure if I understood pretty well, but the evaluation is just no, it's made not for the transportation sector. It's for residency and industrial.
Okay.
Yeah, but in industry they use different gaseous fuels as well, like steam, natural gas, and other sources of different fuels. And these two technologies, batteries and solar panels, these technologies are not able, they don't have that much potential to produce that sort of a fuel that can be met by industry. These technologies can only be met to meet the demand of electricity generation only, not the other sort of fuel that industry needs.
Yeah, true, exactly. In fact, for that reason, is because one of the main barriers is precisely the uncertainty that this technology, means, because not many people trust on the capacity of this technology. And as you said, nowadays, we know that there is not possible to depend only on these two technologies.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
I think it is Enrique's turn. Enrique, you were going to say something, I think.
Yes. First of all, it's nice to see you.
No, is it Enrique? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. Can you show the barriers slide, please? It's much easier to ask the question.
This one. Wait. Because I'm not sharing, yes.
Yeah.
I think this one, Enrique?
The technical barriers. So, yes.
Okay.
How do you measure, how do you measure, let's say, risk aversion? Do you need to, and others like that, you need to run a survey, right? You run a survey. Each time you're going to use this framework, you need to run a survey? Or how do you measure risk aversion or institutional inertia? These are very subjective criteria.
Mm-hmm.
How do you measure them?
Yeah, the idea wasn't measure each of the criteria or have a, in terms of like this, like risk aversion or institutional inertia. We provide a definition of this two, of each of the drivers and barriers, just to be sure that each of the experts that answer the questionnaire understand the same or have the same idea. And yeah, to try to have in mind that everybody's talking about the same and is understanding the same.
But what does the question say? What is the question?
Let me see. Let me show you. We have when we made the comparisons, the payware comparison, before made the payware comparison, we discuss with each of the expert the definition of each of the barriers and each of the drivers, just to be sure that we all understand the meaning of the barriers or the drivers. Sorry, because this is in Spanish, because this was the version that we use with experts.
Yeah, no, that's perfect to compare to pairwise compare the criteria and determine the weight. But how if I want to use this to compare two different countries, for example, I need to be able to measure each of these drivers or each of these barriers.
Well, in this case, we wanted to compare, the perception about the barriers, the comparison or the perception about the barriers, but not to get a level, the in terms of alternative. We don't have alternative to compare. So we don't want to say that, for example, that in Spain, the risk of aversion is higher than in Colombia. No, because that wasn't the idea.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Eric. I think I have to cut in here because Louis wants to ask a question and we have less than a minute to go. So maybe during the breakout session, you can discuss further on that. So Louis, can we just make it fast? Thank you.
Yeah, just very quickly. I like the part when you run the correlation coefficients and you show that the academics never agree to each other. So that's perhaps my confirmation bias, but that's very important. But in the same line with this the complexity, could you comment something about the added value that the ANP gives you relative to the complexity that you add to the model, given this disagreement between, because perhaps direct AHP would reduce the uncertainties of the experts because the feedbacks are rather complex concepts. But I would like to hear your opinion. Thank you.
Yes. In this case, particularly when I precisely in this day when I was checking their results, I noticed, for example, that some criteria wasn't at the end, and in the end, they are not as much as important as we thought. But then we noticed that those criteria receive a lot of influence from other criteria. So in this case, definitely, I was thinking like, okay, it was a good decision to use an ANP because otherwise, the result, we might obtain some result that don't show the reality about this feedback of this loop. Yeah. So for example, in the case of service supply failures, we think that is one of the main drivers that people want to have energy every day or during the whole day. But in the end, this criteria, this driver didn't receive, it was important, but didn't receive a lot of important. But it's because this driver depends a lot on other drivers.
Thank you so much, Hannia. I think I have to keep the questions short now because we have 2 minutes.
I have a comment and question. I just wanted to give my turn to Enrique because he was second in line. So, but I have some comment and question. If you allow me, just 1 minute.
No, I can't. Sorry. Can we keep it in the parking lot? Because we are already 2 minutes behind schedule.
No problem.
So once we finish, we can still go back to this.
Okay.
Thank you. So Adeyinka, thank you so much, Hannia, for your presentation.